Oregon, welcome to this AM on EOAlive, your connection to Eastern Oregon, right here this Thursday, August the 5th, here in the studio again. This is only our third show together. How are you, man? Switch the camera.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to that. It's like, usually, in a show, people would have like somebody doing that, like sitting
That's
over
right.
there, right? But we have to kind of do it ourselves.
We're kind of like everything. Yeah.
Well, it is way easier when you do it when you're sitting at your own desk, though.
It is.
It's like, this is like a whole different monster for us.
I know. And that's why when you said, hey, I want to get back in studio and do this, I'm like, dude, you have no idea how complicated
I've been wanting to get back in studio for like 8 months.
I know. But it's just like,
an empty chair.
Yeah.
Nice. See,
that's right.
It's a work in progress.
There you are. Yeah. No. And yeah, it's complicated, and even now the audio doesn't sound the way that I want it to do. We got crappy audio, which is a thing for me.
Yeah, it's a big thing for you.
But hey, we're here and we're good. So,
you should have seen the look on those kids' face last night when I showed them a little clip of the intro videos that we shot and Bennett edited.
Did they like it?
Oh,
yeah.
One of the coaches was like, "That's so clean. That's so," and I was like, "That's because in my brain it has to be clean. Otherwise, it don't pass for me."
Yeah.
They turned out Bennett. I just gave Bennett the reins on it. I gave him an idea. I said, "Here's my vision. Here's what I want in the background." I didn't give him any specifics, and he just worked his magic in it. Wow.
Good deal. Yeah.
Impressive.
So tell people real quick for the umpteenth time what we're doing this
August 7th, 7 p.m. Oregon East-West Shrine. Today at 4:30, they're going to be handing them out their jerseys, which is like a huge part of the process. I mean, the jerseys is your memento, right? The thing that you keep to signify that you were a part of this East-West Shrine game. Yesterday, I had the East Queen on the sports show. And it's funny because I went to high school with her mom. I played baseball with her stepdad, and I didn't even know because she has a different last name, right?
Uh-huh.
So I didn't put two and two together until like the last minute. And I'm like, oh, I know who let me interview this girl because she's not only the East Queen, she's also singing the national anthem.
Oh, cool.
Which is cool. So August 7th, 7 p.m. we'll be live streaming it and
this Saturday.
2
days from now.
Yeah. It's
every day I wake up, I'm like, okay, it's Thursday.
It's crunch time, dude.
Yeah, it's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday.
I was thinking that all night until about 3 o'clock in the morning when I finally fell asleep.
Yeah. Hey, if you're watching, give us some comments. We'd love to know what's happening. Love to know what you're thinking this morning. Give us some greeting. So, hey, let me share the weather cam here.
We're gonna do a little weather real quick.
Yeah, it's kind of
smoky.
gloomy. Yeah,
a little bit smoky.
But you know what? It was beautiful. I mean, this morning it was like, it was cool. I mean, it has just been so suffocatingly hot recently.
Well, it's the humidity. I think I can handle the heat. I don't mind the heat. The humidity is what it was. The first day we went out there for practice, so that would be Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Monday we were out there, and it was a 5-shirt day, except for I only had one shirt. Seriously, Bennett and I were out there right in the middle of the day, 2 o'clock with these kids, and it felt like when I got off the plane in Atlanta, and it's just that different heat. It sucks the energy right out of you.
I know it. So it's been awful. Well, here, let's look at what Gabe says the weather's going to be.
It's going to cool. What? It's going to be 90 at noon, and it's going to drop down to 70. So we're going to get some thunderstorms.
We're going to get some storms today.
Yeah. Hey, the other crazy thing was, what was it? 2 days ago at 6 o'clock, we were down there ready to film the player introductions.
Uh-huh.
And it's 85 degrees and it started hailing.
I know.
I was 85. How does that even work scientifically? It had to have been the fact that the smoke was holding in the heat.
We probably need the weather kid to explain to us what's going on there.
Yeah, somebody. somebody. It was really weird.
And then tomorrow
it's going to be nice and cool tomorrow. It looks like probably maybe some thunderstorms in the morning with a little bit of rain, which is good. We need rain as much as possible.
Yeah, we sure do. All righty. Well, hey, we're glad you're with us this morning, and Lasa Baxter is going to join us here in just a minute. We'll be right back. If I can find the commercial.
EOAlive is your connection to Eastern Oregon. Get the latest and most relevant news in 2 minutes or less with Megan Demersion on our evening news broadcast. We cover Eastern Oregon's weather daily with Gabe, the EOAlive weather kid, with an extended forecast every Friday. Watch Dodzy on EOAlive Sports to get the latest sports information and interviews with local coaches, athletes, and more. See Brent and Dodzy goof and gaff with local guests on EOAlive's morning talk show, AM on EOAlive. We're available across the board, including Facebook, YouTube, Amazon Fire, and of course, our very own website, EOAlive.tv. We even have our own Roku channel and 24/7 live streaming via Stream. You can also listen to our shows on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and many other popular podcast apps. You can get everything all in one place with the EOAlive app, available on Android, iOS, and the Amazon App Store. EOAlive, your connection to Eastern Oregon. EOAlive is your connection to Eastern Oregon. Get the latest and most relevant news in 2 minutes or less with Megan Demersion on our evening news broadcast. We cover Eastern Oregon's weather daily with Gabe, the EOAlive weather kid, with an extended forecast every Friday. Watch Dodzy on EOAlive Sports to get the latest sports information and interviews with local coaches, athletes, and more. See Brent and Dodzy goof and gaff with local guests on EOAlive's morning talk show, AM on EOAlive. We're available across the board, including Facebook, YouTube, Amazon Fire, and of course, our very own website, EOAlive.tv. We even have our own Roku channel and 24/7 live streaming via Stream. You can also listen to our shows on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and many other popular podcast apps. You can get everything all in one place with the EOAlive app, available on Android, iOS, and the Amazon App Store. EOAlive, your connection to Eastern Oregon.
Hey, we're back. Thanks for joining us this morning. And we're having a little bit of tech issues. So I think we have 2 different Facebook streams going, but anyhow.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So give us some comments and we'll try and pick them up as we go along. But again, we're here today. Great to have Lasa Baxter with us. And Lasa, I'm sorry, that camera's like right in the road. It's like, Ashley O'Toole was here last time and he was just a little, he could look over the camera.
A little higher. I'll sit taller. I'm gonna pretend I'm 6
Yeah.
We should have put her right here. But then it would have been weird because I don't want to sit next to her.
It was like, so what we need, it's the old catalog thing, where you went to grandma's house.
Sears catalog. We need one. I don't know that they make anything like that anymore.
I love those things. The Christmas edition.
I know.
Yeah. Right?
You know what I'm talking about.
I know, we're dating ourselves. I think we need to maybe reel that in a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, I don't mind. You seem to be the one that minds about that. I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how old I am.
I think generally women are the ones that want to keep their age young.
True.
I don't blame them.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
But you don't look old, so I would embrace my age if I was you. Most people think I'm younger than I am.
That's a good thing, right?
It's not bad. And with this weight loss journey, I think I'll even look younger. As soon as I hit my goal, it'll be
Yeah. So talk about that for a minute.
Let me give that Metrum a little bit of love real fast. Metrum MD in LeGrand. It's been what has it been? About 3.5 months with them. And it's not a gimmick. It's not a pill. Like some people have asked me, is it a pill? No, it's not a pill. I get a vitamin B12 shot. I take some supplements, and then my diet is an 800 calorie a day diet, and it's all keto basically. But it's doctor supervised because it's such a low caloric intake, and it works. I mean, as long as you stay the course and battle through the plateaus, because you're gonna plateau and it gets frustrating. And one of my ideas that I've come up with them is you're supposed to weigh every week, right? And right now, I'm weighing every 2 weeks because I want to see bigger numbers. I'm like, I'm one of those kind of, I don't weigh at home. I don't keep track of my weight every day. It's just every 2 weeks I get on the scale and it tells me how much weight I've lost in those 2 weeks. And I like the bigger number, so I don't want to see 1.5. I want to see 5.
Nobody wants that. Yeah.
But they also preach as long as the number on the scale is not going up,
yeah,
you're doing something right.
That's good.
Yeah, Metro MD right here in the Grand on 4th Street. Go see Dr. Cobb. Go to the website and get a consultation. I mean, if you have like any health issues that are weight related, I would definitely suggest that.
Good. So, Lasa, this is like the center. I mean, health, fitness.
Yeah.
I feel uncomfortable sitting
Yeah,
next
me
to you.
too.
Yeah.
That's why I wore long sleeves today, so I didn't have to show off the guns.
There's zero reason to be uncomfortable. I am like, come on over. I'd love to. For me, it's like, I just want to share what I know and what I've learned. And I think for me, for whatever reason, what's been put on my heart and what I'm passionate about, there's just so much more joy in getting to educate others with it, and sharing it with others. And I mean, why keep it to yourself? And, I've been able to make a career out of it, and it's fun and it's enjoyable and it's exciting. And so for me, there's no judgment. It's just about sharing information. So.
And I know that about you. I know that about you personally. It's totally on me. Yeah. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about where you came from, how you got here. I don't know. Give us a little bit of your life story and a thumbnail. Yeah.
Quick. I'll try to be quick. I'm not very quick. Cut me off if I'm going too long. I grew up here in Eastern Oregon. I grew up in Union. I literally grew up living right next to Little Creek, and I spent my summers floating in it, playing in it, anywhere I could go. I grew up with a father who worked on fire lookout towers as a kid and through his early 20s, and he loved the outdoors, and he spent all of his time taking his young family into the outdoors. And, back when it was okay to throw a posse of kids in the back of a pickup truck and go into the woods, we did it all the time. And so I grew up loving that and really craving that connection to outside. And, in addition to that, developed into athletics and sports, and volleyball became something that I really loved. My coach, Patty Heron at the time, I think really inspired a lot of us who are now coaching. You'll see Melinda Becker, Jennifer Teeter, myself, and numerous others that were all under her wing. That inspired a love for me of the game and lots of other things, and that just developed into a love for all kinds of fitness and wellness. And anyway, yeah. Working now, I still work for the Oregon Health Authority, which actually in school-based health services, and I'm working on 27 years with them this year.
And what do you do for them?
So that job is such an interesting job, and it's more on an administrative side of things, but I help schools all over the state of Oregon access finances, access reimbursement through federal funds for services they're providing to kids on special education plans or on 504 medical plans. So all the clinicians that work out in the field, like a speech language pathologist, a nurse, a physical therapist, occupational therapist, mental health therapy that's provided to kiddos in the schools. So the schools are not provided any funding for that. And so the only way they can get funding is to access Medicaid dollars through the feds. And so I help facilitate those programs for Oregon schools and help therapists navigate the billing process to do that like they would in the private sector. And so anyway, it's a very interesting job that kind of ties in. So I see a lot of what goes on with health and wellness at that level. And I coached, of course, for a long time, 17 plus years. And then during that time, during that realm, I really became interested in training and health and fitness, watching the young athletes, and really creating that time that I wasn't allowed to have. You got an hour and a half practice to 2 hour practice kind of a thing, but really wanting that time to like have breakouts where I could see the benefit in working one-on-one with somebody and just having that individual time. And that developed into a whole lot of other things. But during that process, really realizing how crucial nutrition was to that factor, and going back to school yet again and getting my certification, not only for personal training, but for holistic nutrition.
And that was something recent that you did.
And that's recent. Within the last 2 years, I added the nutrition component to it. I'd had education in it, but I wasn't certified in that area yet. And so 10 years now training, and man, time flies. Anyway, it's like
you're dating yourself.
It's okay. We don't have to talk numbers.
We don't even have to talk numbers. I'm just telling you right now. Oh my goodness. So that all transitioned into wild. I'm not tall enough here. You can see my shirt.
We need to get you a booster
we
seat.
really do need that Sears catalog. But that transitioned during the pandemic into really starting my own company and branching out and being able to work through telemed and reaching people from home. And anyway.
So what is this, here's the parent question. How do you make money at this wild thing? I mean, and that'll kind of help us explain a little bit the business. How does what do you do there?
So a couple things. And the first thing, so after I got my nutrition certification, I was really kind of finding I was stuck with time. Like I just didn't have a lot of extra hours in the day. And then our pandemic hit, and I was developing my business, and I was working on that. And it went all of a sudden where the doors closed, where I couldn't go in and meet personally with clients through Mountain Valley Fitness and Health as a personal trainer, and through my group fitness classes and such. I was able to really step back and then meet with people virtually online, and or via phone, or however else face-to-face electronic means. And so that allowed me to meet with a greater population and meet with somebody anywhere, and from the comfort of their home, bring information and really help guide them, not only with nutrition plans, macro meal plans, fitness plans, but behavioral health coaching, which is something I've been doing a long time and have certification for, and be able to kind of help them with meeting goals. So that
behavioral health coaching. What is that?
So, it starts a lot with imagery and finding a vision and a goal, and really kind of honing in on what is it you are trying to achieve, and eliminating all of the barriers that you might put in front of yourself, like lack of time, lack of knowledge, lack of skill, finances, lack of support, all those kind of things that we put in, the things you tell yourself we can't achieve.
So those barriers that keep you from being healthier.
Yep.
Is that the connection?
Yes.
Okay.
And just helping somebody work through the process of eliminating those things one thing at a time, so that they can be successful long-term and adherent long-term, and get out of their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time we're in our own way, and we've developed ideas or thoughts or concepts that we can't do something, or it won't last, or it won't, be long-term. And so that's a big component of what I do with guiding and coaching with nutrition and fitness, is just combining all those things together and being a little bit of that accountability, a little bit of that voice of reason, and
Mm-hmm.
talking through, working through designing goal setting plans, but then walking through like developing plans for, let's get ahead of the game. These are barriers you think might be happening. Let's prepare ourselves for what those are, so when they arrive, and they're going to arrive,
Right.
that we have a way to work right through those, so we don't derail. We might just have to do a little walk around and get right back on the path.
Mm-hmm.
And that's some of the most, it's so joyous and so much fun to see somebody work through those processes and kind of just start kicking those things out of the way.
Well, and that sounds interesting to me, because both Kyle and I have been kind of on a health journey.
Mm-hmm.
He's made more progress. I mean, when you started the Met Trim thing, we had talked about doing it together, and I had kind of developed what I thought was a course that was going to take me. I had a workout routine, but what I found out, I just turned 60, and it's like my body, my mind, my body was not able to keep up with what I was expecting, I mean, and so, it turns out I've stopped, I quit for a while. And so I mean, there's just a huge need there. And in fact, you and I mean, my journey towards health started maybe when you did an interview with Will, like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. Who I ran into this morning.
Yeah. He's here in town.
Super random.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going down to your place. He's like, I'm not there anymore. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's just, so I totally get that. I don't know what the magic, how to get, I mean, there's a huge amount of people that are in that same spot. They're, they're busy, or they can't afford it, or whatever the course might be, but they're not getting there.
They're not getting there. And I would agree. There's more than I would like to think in that boat. And I guess for me, if I can facilitate, even one success like that, and one success story, just help being that facilitator and helping them help themselves, because ultimately it does come down to the person acquiring the skills and the knowledge, and persevering and finding that sense of like it's worth it, and the confidence that comes with it, and it grows. But I got to tell you, when I hear stuff, the nutrition thing is so critical, and there's things that I think some people find. Some people really work hard at it and work their tails off and are finding themselves stuck on, you mentioned plateaus, things like that. They find themselves not making progress, but there's so much more to health than, it is so much what you put in, but if there's already things out of whack from what you've done in the past, sometimes undoing a little bit of that to help really heal your gut biodome and have the right bacteria in your gut is a huge factor in being successful. And working through that process is not something that maybe just, your average food alone type thing, and addressing that is going to take. There's going to be a little bit more that you might have to look into. And so there can be some success sometimes to a point, but maintaining that and keeping that might be a little bit more in depth long term. And I think just biting off a little bit at a time and realizing that, it takes a long time to get your body to a point of where it's unhealthy. Undoing that journey might take some time too, and just being patient with yourself, being patient with the process. That's so hard, because we're driven hard by like big results, big numbers, like you said, like that intrinsic reward.
We live in a society of instant gratification. That's that's my problem.
But it's like, if it took you 5 years to get there, it might take you a year or two to undo what you've done.
20 years of beer drinking doesn't come off in 3 days. I hate to tell you that.
No.
Newsflash. And good morning, Jimmy Burgess.
Oh my goodness. No, but it's so cool the human body is the coolest thing in the whole wide world, and to figure out like how you work is versus how you work, and figure out what is going to work for you. It can take some time, and that's okay, and just that learning process. But anyway, yeah.
So I'm getting this theme of coaching for you. You've had this regular job at the Oregon Health Authority all this time, but this overarching thing of coaching volleyball, and now moving to coaching health, and how, I don't know, what drives you? How did you get that coaching bug? When did that?
That's interesting. So I was taught early on, I was told I should be a teacher, and I was like, absolutely not. And then I realized I am an educator, just in a totally different realm about something that I'm passionate about. It wasn't like language or writing or whatever, but something that really drives me, and the human body and our health and wellness, and wanting people to thrive. I want to thrive. I want to feel good in my body, good in my skin until I'm gone. And I want other people to feel like that. And I want you to feel like as you age, there's normal aging and not. I think our society has kind of pinned and blamed all these things on aging that really don't have to be there. We don't have to feel like crap. We can feel good. We can be 60 and 70 and 80 and feel freaking good.
Yeah.
And I want people to feel like that. I want to feel like that. And so it's like, we're living longer for the most part. And we've got medical science that allows us to do that. So if we're going to do that, I want to feel dang good doing it.
Yeah.
My father was a teacher before he decided to start his own business. And he's incredible with woodworking, but he was a teacher. My brother Brett's a principal up at LeGrand. He's an educator. My oldest sister's a kindergarten teacher at Wallowa School District. Her spouse is a teacher at Enterprise School District. There's a lot of, my Uncle Kendall was a professor at Eastern Oregon University for 50 years. I mean, there's a lot of my grandmother on the Baxter side was an educator. So that's in my blood, I think. And I think I finally just found an avenue where I could share and help, and I want to make a difference.
Yeah.
But in this area.
I didn't know that was your brother.
I was going to say, yeah, I had not put that together at all. Yeah.
Poor Brett, the word's out now.
I would consider me fairly knowledgeable about the going-ons around here.
Yeah.
And I had no idea.
Yeah.
I learn something every day.
Yeah. So here's a loaded question. Okay. Yeah. So you look amazing in the most non-creepy way I can say that.
Thank you.
So then are there times when, and the reason I say that is, are there times when you're unhappy with your health?
Yes.
Okay. And that blows my mind. It's like, what? I mean, when I compare my health to yours, then it's like, what? Yeah.
That's such a good question. You know what's funny is when you dial in health at the level that I have, you notice things so much more. So I'll give you an example. I wouldn't have noticed this as a kid, but now if I overdo it with sugar or let's say alcohol or just garbage food, like just not great choices, fun choices, not great choices for nutrition and wellness. Man, I feel it like it's immediate, and I can feel the difference, and I can literally feel. This is a weird thing. I've told people this. It feels almost like an internal fever, like my own immunity is sunk a little bit. Like I can feel the depression of my energy. I can feel that I just don't feel quite up to speed, and that can happen, especially if I don't get enough rest, enough sleep. And I like to burn the candle at both ends, as you know, with multiple jobs and fun and things like that. But it can take its toll, and then I don't thrive either. And so I have to really pay attention to the same things that I educate everybody else on. I've got to really adhere to those things for me, or I pay the price. And so it's not any different for me than it is for anybody else. I just think, now this is weird, but when you start eating really, really nutritious food and take out other things, your taste elevates. Like I can tell the difference in something that, like a really good tomato and a really bad tomato, where the nutrition is. And like anything that has like better flavor, more punch, more like fruit that's more tart, more sweet, whatever, has better nutritious value than a lot of things that just kind of taste more bland. And as you start, you'll start realizing that, like, it's weird. That's just those are little things, but.
I can attest 100% to the feeling like crap, because I went 3 months on Metrim's their food 100%.
Yeah.
The only thing I was allowed to add in was 5 grams of carbs of green vegetables a day, which is a lot of green vegetables actually. And on my birthday, I went to Chinese food and I cheated, and I felt like crap, BC. I felt so bad for like 2 days. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I just felt, even right afterwards, we went back to my parents' house. We put the Padres game on, and I was in the recliner just like, why did I do that? Like, so there's no doubt about that. I mean, and food does taste different once you start eating different. Then when I had the chow mein that I had, it tasted different than what I remembered. And I mean, I'm not a huge Chinese food fan. We just went there because my mom likes it. My mom has a really strict diet. So it does taste different. There's no doubt. It's so weird.
It's so true. It's cool actually, because you start realizing like your own body can differentiate between good and bad and what's better. But you know, when you eat a lot of garbage, it does like deteriorate your ability to read your body and to kind of be in tune with what it's feeling like, because you just kind of feel like that all the time and you don't really realize what it is.
Well, that has to be a biological thing, right? I mean, our bodies have to be set up to thrive, not to diminish. Right. So there has to be some internal gauge to tell you what is good or what is bad, because in the beginning of man, regardless of how you believe we got here, something had to tell them what was good and what you're supposed to eat and what you're not supposed to eat. Right? It's poisonous. Right? Yeah, right.
But it's true. Like think about like ruminant animals like elk, deer, whatever, cattle, whatever. Sheep. If they're left out to graze on their own, like pastured or graze on their own,
they're going to the good stuff.
Yeah, they know what to like. They switch. They'll go back and forth to different things based on like what vitamins and minerals and nutrition they actually need.
Absolutely.
And where their deficits are.
Sheep are the dumbest animals on the planet. I grew up around sheep. My aunt and uncle have a sheep farm. I mean, I know sheep very well. Yeah. And they know exactly where to eat. They'll skip certain areas of a pasture because, and it's not because their brain is, you know, like this phenomenal object. It's because it's a biological reaction.
Yeah. Well, your body starts to tell you what you do and don't need.
Absolutely.
And if you start paying attention to it and you start kind of healing it and getting your food to where you're eating really whole, nutritious food, it changes how you, and you start to get to a point where there's certain things that you almost reject. You're like, that sounds really good, but it's just not worth how I'm going to feel afterwards. It's weird.
It's kind of funny because one thing I've noticed is I grew up in Wyoming, and I mean, we had wild game, you know, my whole life. I didn't have beef on a regular basis until I was a teenager, just because economically wild meat was what fed us, you know? And so, but now these days, and I love beef, I love steak. But it's funny because sometimes I will pay more and I will buy something that's locally grown or something that I know where it came from or whatever, but what's wild is funny is that it tastes wild.
It does taste wild.
Yeah, it does. And so then over a course of time, I've had so much processed beef or I don't know, whatever they do to it, that
hormones,
that it has changed. My taste buds have become accustomed to that. Yeah.
To what the fake meat.
Right. No, it's not. It's not fake meat.
It's not fake meat. But honestly, the stuff that's been, probably grain finished, there have been probably hormones applied. Yeah. They're trying to fatten it in a short window of time. 100%, you are correct. Like if grass-fed beef and grass-finished beef taste a little more wild because they are wild.
Right.
Essentially,
But that's what I want to get people back to.
No,
is that because what's cool. So here's what's crazy about that is that they have done studies. There's a wealth of information on this. Those grass-fed beef, the nutrition value, the vitamin and mineral content, that you're getting out of that versus how the others are finished is tenfold. So, and they're finding that, the saturated fats are lower in that, but even those fats they seem to be healthy. They seem to be helpful. They seem to be giving you and providing you with things that you need. So it's really, really interesting. And that's one of the reasons why I got into hunting is because I do not enjoy taking an animal's life, period. I mean, I actually really, I really don't enjoy it. But that's what's in my freezer. And I enjoy that a lot.
Right.
Me too. I love elk. I would rather have elk than beef any day.
Clean, healthy meat. And it took me a while to transition. I felt the same way. When I went from beef that I was used to wild game. It was like,
Yeah.
it took me a long time, that gaminess, to accept and kind of enjoy and now actually prefer, which
Right.
is.
But it was just kind of funny because in Wyoming we hunted, and this was the measure of gaminess. You know, antelope was very gamey, deer
Yeah.
was less gamey, elk was
Yeah.
a little less gamey, moose was really close to beef. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, and
It's
so
still like that.
yeah, and so I still, you know, so I had a very good gauge of taste of what was gamey or what was not. So
Me personally, when it comes to gaminess, and I don't know a lot. I just called you Lasa. I want to call you that all the time for some reason. Lasa. The deer on the west side of the state. So when I first moved over to the west side, I see a deer. I'm with my friend. I'm like, what's wrong with that? Like, what is wrong with that thing? And he's like, you didn't know these are different deer over here. They're blacktail. Well, the deer over there tastes way better than the deer over here. I promise you that, because they're eating green all the time.
They're eating green.
The deer over here are eating
sagebrush.
Yeah. So there is a difference. I mean, and if you go like down to southern Oregon, those deer eat alfalfa. Those big alfalfa farms down there, and they even taste better. And it's all just natural. You know, they're just eating, you know, whatever they can get, but it's all based on region. Our deer over here are desert deer, and they're super gamey, and they're not my favorite, but I'll eat them.
Right.
But the deer over there, although, I mean, it's like packing out a small dog.
Yeah.
I mean, they're teeny.
Small. But it makes you wonder about, we call these the townsies, the local deer, you know, that have migrated into town. They're weird. But it makes you wonder, because they're literally eating off of like fruit and pasture. It's like, wonder if they're any better.
Yeah, they might. Or like, so funny story. My brother's 10 years younger than me. So this would have been, I don't know, he's 32, he was 8. So what would that be, 24 years ago or so? 24 years ago, my aunt snapped a picture at Wallowa Lake of my brother with one of those, you know, bucks and he was feeding the buck. Right. Well, somebody wrote a letter to her, and it got kind of out of control about how you shouldn't let people around wild animals. And that brought up that conversation. Like, we talked about that long ago. Like, what would those taste like?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because they're getting fed.
They're getting fed.
Would they be good?
Well, and when you see those, I mean, those deer up at Wallowa Lake, they're ratty looking. I mean, you talk about health.
I know. It's because some kid's been giving them cotton candy for 5 years.
Yeah. Swedish fish. Deer aren't supposed to eat Swedish fish.
Yeah. And it was, So have you been out to the Rovey Goat Farm out in Union?
Okay, so I haven't been out to it, but I've read a ton about it and literally watched, somebody did, you know, an interview documentary type thing.
I think we did something.
Did you?
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been on the tour.
So I watched it and it was, you know, and I loved it.
Really, Stephanie and her husband. I mean, that's just it is, you should visit. I mean, you and her would just like immediately connect. But I mean, just what a crazy, wonderful business that is. Well,
it makes a difference, and it's something that I'm really hopeful. You know, I hate to say this because, you know, beef and cattle and farm raised animals in general have been getting such a bad rap with environmental things and all of this stuff, and kind of a focus on that. And the truth is, if it's done well, like the Rovies are doing, it has a lot of benefit and very, very little, if any, negative impact. And so there's actually a lot of information emerging on that. So I love seeing where it's done well, because it just helps promote, like, hey, this is a good thing, not a bad thing. What if I told you guys, like, your gut biome and the bacteria that are in it, when you eat a really diverse diet, fruits, vegetables, lean, clean, you know, wild game, and, you know, pasture or grass-fed animals, blah, blah. Little amounts, doesn't have to be a lot. You know, it could change the bacteria in your gut, and the bacteria in your gut will then will promote either weight gain, obesity, or will promote lean, stealthy tissue.
Interesting.
And will also promote either poor mental health, and that could be a wide variety of things from anywhere from like the desire to thrive to just depression, bouts of depression to anxiety, lack of ability to cope, to somebody who, when they go through adversity, just has a better ability to cope, can kind of see through that better and navigate that process better. And there's so much to do with like diversity of food, how it's raised, where you get it, and that kind of a thing, and how it impacts the bacteria that's in your gut. And you have symbiotic bacteria in your gut, wide variety of types, and there's a balance that needs to be struck for each human. And when it's out of balance, sometimes no matter how hard you work at like exercise and things like that, if the nutrition's out of balance and the gut biome's out of balance, then that ability to thrive, you're going to just fight it without some results. And so some people that might have worked so hard through weight loss and things like that, and maybe mental health issues and things, could change that by changing the bacteria in their gut. And that can happen by eliminating certain foods, adding in really good foods, eliminating some toxicity, things like that.
Well, that sounds interesting. So
Yeah.
talk a little, so gut biodome,
Yeah.
that in itself sounds a little hocus pocusy. Yeah.
I know.
So yeah.
It
So-
reminds me of the
Yeah.
Pauly Shore movie.
Yeah.
Bill Blackburn.
I know, right? Well, it's like, okay, so this is gonna sound so weird. I have like this vision of like a terrarium, where like you have all these little plants and animals and crap growing in it, and it's like thriving. It's its own little mini.
Like biodome.
It's
Okay.
its own little mini biodome.
Okay.
Okay. So from the mouth to the anus is your gut biodome.
Okay.
So, and it starts literally at your mouth,
Uh-huh.
and oral health and oral care and stuff like that. But, this is this like little sidebars. Your bacteria from like plaque and things like in your mouth, if you're not brushing and flossing like you should or supposed to regularly, that's going throughout the body and throughout the blood system. They're finding that bacteria in your joints, it can inflame the entire system. So little things like that, starting with, just good healthy habits that seem simple, but a lot of people, you get lazy and you're tired and you go to bed, you don't brush your teeth, those little things. But starting there, and then of course putting in really good, healthy, nutritious food, starting with plants, lots of vegetables, greens, certain things that, fruits, not too sugary fruits, not, whole things, God made, eat them.
Yeah.
Here's a question.
Without a label. Okay.
Here's a question for you about the teeth. Your teeth.
Yeah.
150 years ago, when they didn't brush their teeth,
Right.
what did the body do then?
Well, and honestly, think about how long they lived back then.
Not as long,
Not as long.
right?
But they did.
But there are societies
did.
that have that in the past. So if you look at like, let's take for instance like some of the Eastern cultures, right?
Yes.
There's people that live like their life expectancy in some of those cultures is
Forever.
like phenomenal. But there hasn't always been toothbrushes,
so
right?
this is such a good point. And I like sugar.
Well, they eat a lot. They don't eat
They
near
don't
as much
know.
sugar. Hardly.
So think about, like
Touche.
the Inuit Indians up in like Barrow, Alaska.
Yep.
They literally still eat whale blubber,
Yeah.
a whale, a caribou, and very little other, their season to grow is extremely limited. And so like tubers and things like that they can save and whatnot. But when soda pop by people living in the lower 48 and candy and things like that got introduced up there, what started to happen? Their teeth were rotting out of their heads, literally.
Yeah.
And so we have developed all this food that is so fun and yummy, and candy and desserts and Twinkies and donuts deep fried and like, sugary drinks. Think back, like when I was in high school compared to the kids I coached, we didn't have Starbucks and Dutch Bros.
No. We didn't even have vending machines in school. No.
And we didn't have access to any of that stuff. Where now it's kind of like, they have access to driving through and getting giant. One of the things I love to do with, kids in high school is literally physically low. Was that thunder?
I think that is thunder. Yeah.
That was thunder.
It's
Yeah.
like, God's going, it's like, make them, I'll say, okay, what's your favorite drink at Dutch Bros? And then I'll bring a quart jar and a bag of sugar. And then I say, okay, get on your phone and look up how many tablespoons of sugar, how many grams of sugar in that, and then convert that to tablespoons. And then I'll have them do that into a cup. And
it's crazy.
Oof.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's like,
yeah, like a soda,
inches.
a can of soda.
Yes.
A can of soda.
And then
I've
here's
seen
the
that.
thing that I'll go, okay, but you drank that, and with it you had Sour Patch Kids and a whole bag of like cheese nips.
Right.
Like,
so not only did you eat all that sugar, you threw carbs on top, which is essentially sugar.
Super processed carbs, which all breaks down into very simple sugars.
Absolutely.
And that pitches up your insulin very fast. So insulin hormone's a hormone that it's a prioritized hormone. And insulin, when it's working, needs to be a prioritized hormone, but when it's working, all of your other hormones get put on hold. So the jobs they need to do, like repairing muscle, repairing tissue, cortisol, so that you're bright and like in the morning you feel good and you're full of energy, all those kind of things have to take a back seat while insulin's in play. So when you have sugary foods, and that's not just like sugar, like as in granulated sugar, like people think, or candy or treats like that, but all processed foods, breads, crackers, chips, some, fruits, things like that. Fruits are a little bit better than others, but like dried fruit, things like that. Anyway, that can really impact timing and fat gain and the ability to repair muscle, and it can inhibit those things. So learning how to eat like the right combinations of food and when and that kind of thing is very helpful in diminishing that and helping you stay lean and healthy.
Right.
So there's lots of little.
I'm no conspiracy theorist by any means, but I am a firm believer that big corporations, pharmaceuticals, have companies like Nestle right in their pocket. They work hand in hand because they're selling insulin per se, right? Yeah. And these companies are supplying all this sugar drinks, all these high carb snacks, and I think that there's like they're mixed in somehow. They got to be.
They're married up a little bit.
I'm not. Anybody that knows me knows I'm not the conspiracy theory kind of dude. But there's a difference between theory and reality.
Yeah.
And I like to think that I'm a realist and that there's got to be something there.
Hey,
there has to be.
Yeah. I got asked this question one day, and I thought it was such a good question to ask. Somebody asked me, they said, well, so would you like to live in a world where there wasn't any of that? And I was like, no. And I'm like, no, I want to be able to choose. And if anybody who knows me knows I love a good treat here and there. Chocolate's like my thing. It's my jam. Partly because I think I was for a very long time so deficient in magnesium, and if you're deficient in magnesium, chocolate tends to be a craving that you'd have. But I love a good treat. You just got to kind of reel it in and figure out, what's too much. And sometimes, like ice cream, I really want to have it. It doesn't love me. I figured that out. I didn't know that, it took me time and figuring my own body out, and everybody's different, but dairy combined with sugar is like a gut bomb waiting to happen. And I love it, but I'm willing to take the risk like once or twice a year.
Ice cream might not love you, but it loves me.
But
Tillamook Mountain Huckleberry loves me.
But would I want to eliminate it altogether and never have like those kind of like just little joyous moments that are kind of tied to some memories and some cool things? No, but you do have to learn discipline, and when you start to learn how it impacts health, it just instantly becomes disciplinary. For at least it did for me, and I got better and better and better at it.
So we're gonna have to go here in a minute.
Yeah.
But one last question, and that is, okay, so what is your vice? I mean, really. I mean, I don't.
It is.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm
No,
trying to think
chocolate
of
is my
what do
vice.
you struggle with, because
I'm-
you seem to have it all under control here.
Good friends know me. Anybody that's close to me knows that I love a good treat, and that could be a brownie, that could be whatever. That has diminished enormously in the sense that now, when your body isn't deficient in like this in nutrition and like you have the right nutrients, your cravings for things really drop through the floor. Like legitimately they do. You just don't have them as much. And when you're eating a little keto, and by keto I don't mean eat whatever fried fatty foods. I mean like clean lean meat and veggies predominantly. Okay. When you're eating that way, it will diminish your craving for sugar and carbs. It will absolutely just naturally start to do that. You'll feel more satiated.
I can agree with that. 100%.
And so, and when you're eating really nutritious food, those cravings will go away. But, oh my gosh, I mean, honestly, a really good hamburger sometimes with like sweet potato fries and a good beer. I do love a good beer, not a lot of beer, but I do, and it doesn't take much. Like I want to.
Well, you're like 5'2", like 110 pounds.
I mean, I want him to serve them like this and like these because I'm slow.
Give me a beer and a shot glass.
Exactly, I'm slow, and then it never gets warm. That I love all the same things everybody else does, especially and I honestly I do great online grocery shopping. I love it. It's become like I don't have to waste time in the store. I can inventory my food, blah blah. But I order, this is to crack people up. Like I have just learned to shift towards really low sugar chocolate. So really good quality, 85% or more cacao, dark chocolate. I keep one of those in a drawer in my house every week. Every week.
All right.
And I have a little
Before we get her out of here though, I want to show one picture and let her talk about it because I had her send me some pictures and I want you to kind of explain this one right here that I'm about to put up. Can you see it? It's the picture of all you and all the girls and the dog looking out over the.
But it's not up over there.
Well, it's up over here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's up over here. So kind of explain that.
I know what you're
picture.
talking about. Well, we talked a little bit about that I love to be outside, and I love to adventure and explore, and I think it's so important to get outside your comfort zone. And I think doing things that push you outside your comfort zone build character. I think they make us stronger. I think they help us cope. I think they empower us to just try harder, be bigger, be better in our communities, be better for our families, blah, blah. So that's kind of the deep side of it. And then there's just the dang freaking fun side to get away from everything else, electronics, everybody else, and get outside and just see things we haven't seen that are right in our backyard. So 6 years ago, I was sitting at Chelsea Heron. She's part of the CPA firm downtown at her wedding, and sitting next to another business owner, Haley Hines. And Haley said, "Hey, would you organize like a hike for us to go on, girls to go on and like get it organized and kind of get us," and that's just something I've always enjoyed doing, is kind of organizing things. But anyway, it was literally like she'd taken a dream out of my brain, and right that moment I was like, I have been dreaming of doing this forever. I just didn't know if I'd be able to get people on board because they all have little families and businesses. And anyway, so I organized that, and we committed to it being a annual event that we get these women together and we go get badass and go hike all over crazy country in the woods. And we plan a different route. We've been sticking right now to the Eagle Caps because there's so much to cover. And so we've just picked different routes, and it takes some, like this year was a through route. So we had a drop off crew and a pickup crew and some organization to get that all underway. But it's just a pretty amazing thing to have those women be able to, have babies, have families, have businesses, and still be able to somehow manage to make it all happen.
Wow.
And we're kind of proud of ourselves at making that commitment, and we just look forward to it every year and have a really good time. And every year is different. Everything we run into is different. Last year we got into snow up to our hips for hours and hours longer than we thought, and had to punch our way through where you couldn't see trail, you couldn't navigate, you're not in service, you don't have any access, like you're figuring it out when you go. This year we got into a lot of blowdown in zones where we lost trail, and you're not on trail and you're just trying to figure it out and you're scrambling. That's the reason I'm like, my legs are all scraped up. Like, and just those moments are like, in the moment, I mean, there's just like that little verge of like, we got this, we can figure this out, and they're empowering and they're cool. And there's also that little verge of like, just enough like, man, we don't want to do something stupid here because we could be in big trouble, you know?
Yeah,
right? Exactly. But, you know,
we don't want to make the news.
Well, we do, you know, but every year we figure it out and we just have a good time and laugh, and you know, it's awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Very
I appreciate
cool.
you bringing it up because it's something that's like really dear.
I kind of figured. I follow you on Instagram and on Facebook, and I see like some of the adventures, and that's part of the reason why I reached out to you. Like,
Man.
I think it's important for people to know what people that are doing positive things in our community.
I want people to do. I mean, this is selfish. I'll tell you this. When I go up there, I'm like, please don't run into anybody else because we just want to be with ourselves.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, when you do, you're like, go you. Like, you're so glad that they're out there doing it too. So it's like kind of this balance, you know?
I can just imagine, though, a couple of guy hikers, and all of a sudden, this pack of ladies come by. Yeah, it's like
you just hear, I knew I was out here hiking for a reason.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, it reminds me.
They're either going,
or they're just like,
no, I can only imagine how that. So, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to get a hold of you,
how can we get? Give them your website, all that good stuff.
A couple of things. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. My Instagram handle is Lasa Baxter Built Body. Instagram is just under my name right now. I'm actually working on a website. It's trainwild.com. It's not fully live yet. I'm really working on that. You can find me through Mountain Valley Fitness and Health as well. I'm still training one-on-one clients, personal clients there. My group fitness is all online via my Wild. My nutrition is all via Wild as well. But I appreciate you guys having me on and just letting me blab and share my story and what I love. And
well, we'd like to have you back. I mean, and just kind of to hang with us, because there are times where we have a guest fall through, and it would be great to just have you come back and just, and just, we would just kind of shoot the bull, whatever.
Well, I would love it because we could get in some really interesting conversations that might go a little sideways, but maybe really, really fun.
I've never had a sideways conversation in my life. Don't listen to that.
But still, but
they would be super interesting.
Yeah.
You know, anyway.
Well, cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ready for me to get us out of here?
Yeah, give us your stuff.
All right. On this day, like today, what is today? August 5th, huh? August 5th.
August 5th.
In 1846, Oregon Territory was divided between U.S. and Britain at the 49th parallel. You know where that is? Right down the road.
And the year again?
1846.
Yeah, you got to always repeat
in
that
1861, the U.S. Army, 1861.
Okay.
The U.S. Army abolished flogging on this day. Yeah. Seriously.
Before that, it was okay.
Yeah. Well, back in the old days, it was okay to hit your wife with a stick, as long as that's where the rule of thumb comes from.
As long as it didn't leave a mark.
Did you know that? The rule of thumb. Yeah, it comes from back in the old days. You were allowed to hit your wife with a stick as long as it wasn't bigger than the width of your thumb. Yeah.
That still works for kids.
In 1936, Jesse Owens won the 200 meter, his third gold medal of the Berlin Olympics on this day. Right now, the USA is in overall lead for medals. We're in second place for golds, right behind China. We're a couple golds behind. And our Oregon boy, he destroyed the shot put again.
That's so cool.
And my girl, Sydney McLaughlin, won the 400-meter hurdles and set the world record. And she was Sid the Kid in Rio. She was 16,
Wow.
the youngest U.S. track athlete to make the Olympics since like 1976. Sid the Kid comes back as a 21-year-old and sets the world record in the 400-meter hurdles.
Wow.
Pretty cool. 1964, on this day, we first bombed North Vietnam. Vietnam was
64.
1964 on this day. 1974 on this day, President Nixon admitted to his part in Watergate.
Oh.
Number one song. Oh, gosh. We got to go right back to this, don't we? Oh, my goodness. This just brings back I guarantee you this is going to bring back some memories for you. Number one song, 1991. On this day. That's exactly what it was. It was. That's exactly what it was.
What movie did that go to?
Hey,
Robin Hood.
that is still on my Spotify.
That was the first time I ever danced with a girl out of school dance, 7th grade, Cammie Wagner. I still remember. I'm friends with her. Right? Yeah. And then
I want to see a video of that.
the quote for the day is Martin Luther King. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter.
Mm.
So one more time, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter.
Mm.
And that's super powerful. And I forgot my joke for the day.
Yeah.
So let's bang that out real fast. BC, if April showers bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring?
Say it again one more time.
If April showers bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring?
What?
Pilgrims.
Yeah.
Pilgrims?
Mayflower.
Thank you.
Tune in Saturday. Oh, well, tune in to the sports show tomorrow, the nightly news roundup, but Saturday, 7 p.m. We're going to be live streaming the parade downtown Baker at noon on Saturday as well. So just be ready and give everything a like and share, all that good mumbo jumbo that gets us in the matrix. And we'd appreciate it. And we appreciate you, Eastern Oregon.
Yep. Thanks so much. We'll see you Tuesday right here.